So yes, we'll hold Rabbi Green up in our prayers for healing, and maybe people might bring him healing foods and healing words, and I want him to heal so that he can be the one to share words with you, because he complains when I'm not here and I complain when he's not here. It's kind of a tradition. It's kind of what we do. So this week's Torah portion I will talk to you about and teach with you, and hope to hear your feedback and hope to talk to you further. I always enjoy so much exploring what things mean to us. Even we might hear the same words and they might come to us differently. So, Tetzaveh is the name of this week's Torah portion. What is the connection between our garments, our clothes, even our sacred prayer ritual items, our kippot, our talitot, and our behavior? And how does the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, guide us? This week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh, seeks to answer some of these questions. Our ancient spiritual leaders, the priests, were to wear special garments. We see this even today when, for example, Rabbi Green and I wear our white robes that many of you might know that I love those so much, I facetiously say, at the high holidays. So why? Does wearing a special outfit heighten our expectations of the person wearing it? We all know the danger of turning people into symbols or idols. We have heroes that let us down. We might hear news of an athlete using illegal drugs, a politician using racist language or actions, or a comedian or actor assaulting someone. In fact, we're barely shocked by these examples anymore. Should we put people on a pedestal and ask them to behave better, even if we might be setting ourselves up for disappointment? Well, this week's Torah portion suggests that yes, we still should. Because while the Jews are learning, the ancient Israelites are learning what the tabernacle should look like. They're getting instructions for its materials and its dimensions. They are also given instructions on how to craft the clothing for the priests. And these are to be derived also from the gifts of the people, from the raw materials of the people, to make both the tabernacle and the vestments of the priests. The people are invested in the vestments of their leaders. The people are invested in the vestments of their leaders. If the wearer fails to live up to the expectation of their duties, then the office or leadership office is in danger of losing its power. Of course, everyone deserves second chances if they make a mistake, and moments of redemption if they arguably make an every effort to do so, of course. But when is that too much to overcome? So how can we find that balance? How can we protect and strive to our highest ideals? How can we protect our highest ideals? When we expect too little of our leaders, we start to expect less of ourselves. For what we tolerate in bad behavior from others, we may allow, therefore, for ourselves. But when we hold high expectations for them, we work to fulfill them ourselves. Let's look at the composition of these ancient vestments in order to understand this further. The ephod, the breastplate. So Aaron is wearing many garments, Aaron the priest, and the ephod, the breastplate, had many symbolic articles on it, many symbolic things on it. On 2 stones were inscribed the names of the 12 tribes of Israel, so that, quote, from Exodus 28:29, Aaron should carry the names of the sons of Israel over his heart when he enters the sanctuary for remembrance before the Eternal at all times. So Aaron was continually reminded that leadership involves kindness, humility, and dignity, with care for each individual as well as performance of his sacred duties. He's literally carrying their names with him, and he's reminded that he has sacred duties to fulfill, yet he's representing people, and therefore he must act with kindness, humility, and dignity. From Exodus 28:33, it says, "On the robe's hem, make pomegranates all around the hem, with bells of gold between them all around." These bells would jingle, which made me laugh because we had jingle bells first, therefore. So, hence jingle bells, when he would physically enter God's royal presence. This idea that there was a ringing as he physically entered into God's presence, into the tabernacle. And Rabbi Yaakov Lehner, in a Hasidic commentary that I was reading, contrasts these two shapes, the pomegranate and the bells. He says, he contrasts the bell's hollowness and the pomegranate's fullness as being like two different spiritual states. To encounter God, to make room for God, to contract so that there's room for God, we must empty ourselves like the bell. Right? To ring, it has to be hollow. But to live a life of mitzvot, we must return to the fullness of our individuality, just as the pomegranate is full of seeds. We must fill ourselves up with earnest connections to one another. That is how we can encounter God. So we need both prayer and the connection of human relationships. We can empty ourselves temporarily of preconceived notions and see the godliness of others, and then fill up with acts of goodness and peace. We ourselves can be the leaders we seek. Finally, what can we learn when we look at the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, each time we gather together here in the sanctuary, in any sanctuary where there's always the eternal light, the Ner Tamid? This Torah portion asks us, it tells us, to always have a physical light shining continually. It represents the presence of God, always. How can we connect that light to our need for our behavior and that of our leaders to be a holy light? I was wondering this. How can we connect that, being told to have that ever-present light, to our need for the behavior of our leaders to be like a holy light? Can the Ner Tamid be more than just another detail for the tabernacle? Because that's how we find it in this week's Torah portion. It's just another thing to do and create. Perhaps it also reminds us of our own internal light, of our capacity to light the way for others and ourselves. It can be a link for us from the biblical tabernacle to our internal world. We each have a Ner Tamid inside of us, limitless and eternal, that we can call upon and shine with kindness and compassion. We are all part of Jewish history and our modern communities and God. So may we notice the symbols around us, our literal clothes and ritual objects, the Ner Tamid, our neighbors. May we notice all of those things and have them compel us to act with good intentions and integrity. Keni Hiratzo.